Just one second.
Hour long. You could switch back over to that dialogue, Mia.
We are live on YouTube and being recorded, so I will share that script again. Okay, can you see it?
Yep, there it is.
All right. Sorry
My
about
name
that.
is Bob Mihalik. I'm the chair of the Northborough Trails Committee, Northborough, Massachusetts. This open meeting of Northborough Trails is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Trails Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Trails Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to, quote, Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube, and quote, via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative, state your name. And I'll just say your name and wait for verbal reply. Let's see, Tom Kerrigan.
Hello, I'm here.
Forrest Lyford. You're on mute, Forrest.
How did that happen?
There you
Forrest
go.
Lyford is here.
Bill Cobb.
Bill Cobb is here.
Cheryl Devine.
I'm here.
And I saw Brian, but I don't see him on the list, but Brian Belfer.
Yeah, I'm Brian Belfer here. You might have to scroll down on your little person.
Oh, there you
viewer.
are. For some reason you show up now. And I think I got everybody.
I've got Steve Jobs and Scott Rogers are here also.
Yeah, am I able to see full list of attendees? So Steve Jobs. I can't tell Steve either.
It's muted.
Good evening, Steve Jobs here.
Hi, Steve. And I think I'm missing one additional person.
Scott Rogers.
Scott Rogers.
Hi, just here as a participant or as a spectator.
Hi, Scott. Me too. And staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Mia McDonald here.
Meeting business ground rules. The chair will invite each speaker by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. And I think that is the end of the script. So to get started, Mia circulated the minutes from the March meeting. And hopefully those in attendance had a chance to read them. And if someone would like to forth any comments on the minutes, please identify yourself and comment. And once everyone's had a chance to comment, then we can make a motion to approve those March minutes. Would anyone like to comment on the minutes for corrections or additions? I will silence as a no, if there's no,
No.
Okay.
I move to accept the minutes.
that was Cheryl Devine.
Second.
That you, Brian?
Yep.
Brian Dolfer, seconded. So the March minutes can be entered into the
You have
official
to roll
record.
call vote.
Oh, for everyone.
You have to roll call vote.
Just for your members. So Steve and Scott won't, and me won't get to vote,
Oh.
but your members get to vote.
So
Okay,
this is Tom Kerrigan. I'm not entirely sure I'm officially a member here. I just started kind of coming and watching what was going on. Am I entitled to vote or not?
well, you were at the meeting, Tom.
I was, yep. Correct, yep.
And I think, the presence at 2 consecutive meetings is sufficient to qualify you as a.
That's initiation enough, huh?
It
Give them
is.
a vest and some hand pruners.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for the acceptance.
Okay. Tom, did you have any comments on the minutes?
I didn't see them in an early, like in an email or something, so I'm trying to read them on my screen, but it's a busy screen.
Yeah, there's a very comprehensive. Mia does an excellent job.
Thank you.
Just probably make sure he's on the email list now that he's a member.
Do I have your email, Tom?
I got the notice of this meeting and the last one. I have no objection to the minutes of the previous meeting.
Okay, thank you. And Bill Cobb,
Approved?
thank you. I approve the minutes. Bob Mahalik. And Cheryl approved. Forrest, did we get your approval?
I don't think so. I approve the minutes.
Thank you. And we have Marielle Stone's cat. Just kidding. You're on mute, Marielle.
Sorry about my cats, but hello.
Hi, good evening. It's almost a Zoom standard these days is to
Oh my
have at
God.
least one pet.
Get off. I'm trying to see my monitor.
Marielle, you weren't listed. We were just doing a roll call vote for approval of the March meeting minutes. But I don't think you were in attendance in March, so I don't necessarily think we would have to subject you to a quick read of the minutes for approval.
Okay. Yeah, I know I attended recently, but I can't remember if it was March.
Okay. I think based on roll call vote of the attendees, that the March meeting minutes can be approved.
Did Brian vote?
Yes.
No, I seconded it, but you didn't call me for a vote, Bob. I'm crying.
I
Yeah,
think
he
seconding
seconded.
is.
No, you can make a motion and second, and then if you'd like, you can vote against. The motion just puts it to vote. So if you
Ah.
hate something and you want it to
Ah.
fail, you can actually make the motion and then vote against it.
Interesting.
Did not know that.
Yep.
It's a subtle distinction. Brian, do you have
I hold no hatred for these minutes. I think they're great, so I approve of these minutes.
excellent. Okay,
As do I, Cheryl Devine, approve the minutes.
thank you. I'll have to take a note of that. A motion to approve. No, motion to vote is not necessarily approval. Wow. Okay. Been doing this for 20 years on the Trails Committee meeting. Did not know. All right, so with that formality completed, then I guess we could move on to the April meeting agenda, which Mia also circulated.
So
Um,
Bob, I just wanted to let you know, if you want to jump into the agenda, that's fine, but Steve is here to speak about the Watson Park upgrades tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that. That way we can, while our brains are still fresh, we can engage in what's going on with the Watson Park. So Steve Jobs, the floor is yours. I think you're on mute, Steve.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I I didn't really have anything specific in mind. I did bring up a couple of photographs to Mia's attention of Watson Park. I think those were probably about a month ago, to the very deteriorated parking area over there. And people have been going over there, kind of ripping up the gravel and really making a complete mess of it. I would gone over there during this winter for to do a little snow removal, and the condition of that parking area in the driveway there is so bad that I couldn't even plow it. And it just seems a shame that that's the only real public access for fishing, kayaking, canoeing, and all that type of thing for Bartlett Pond. It's just a shame that that condition of that area is, it's just so deteriorated. And it really has a lot of potential over there. And I just thought that, you know, get you guys' opinion and show you what the condition of what it was like. I'm a lifelong resident here of Northborough, and I live at 90 Ridge Road, as well as work for the town of Northborough. But as a resident and someone who walks over in that area very frequently, it's just, it seems a shame that that place has been kind of let go. And I know that there's a lot of suspicious activities that go on over there. And perhaps if the town would be able to spruce that place up and make it a little more friendly, clean, whatever you want to call it, it would eliminate some of the activities that go on over there. And another thing I thought that may be a good project for someone, especially like an Eagle Scout project, is perhaps cleaning up along the shore there so that people can do some shore fishing. There really is no good access for someone to fish from shore there. I know that there's been quite a few people parking on Bartlett Street, walking in across from Sturbrook Drive there, fishing along the aqueduct and over by the waterfall. But that road has been posted no parking, and you know, it's a pretty busy street and there's no real off-road parking. So by cleaning up Watson Park and opening that up maybe for some shore fishing, it might be a worthwhile project for someone.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Thank you, Steve, too, for the pictures and for plowing there, and also, you know, for you know, sort of documenting what's going on. And I've always wondered too about that area, in specific, the fact that the gate is open all the time. You know, I think if that gate was perhaps, you know, shut at dusk and then opened at dawn, or, you know, something thereabouts, or, you know, that might take, you know, at least some positive steps towards perhaps just letting people know that the area is being monitored. I don't know if that happens. Actually, every time I've driven by there, whether it's 10 o'clock at night or, you know, early in the morning on a mountain bike ride, gates open. And, you know, we see that at other trailhead parking areas too, that if people can get access into them, they will dump trash, do donuts in their cars and rip things up. So I think part of the problem stems from just 24/7 access to that parking area. Then the other thing that jumped into my mind, and this is going to be extraordinarily expensive proposal, but paving it, flattening it out and paving it, so that people can drive their cars down there and not necessarily sink into the mud and create big ruts. That's a little bit outside of what trails typically gets involved in. And I don't know if anyone else would comments about the particular situation there.
I would just add that we have a trail there that kind of provides a little bit of shore access that really hasn't been maintained, that kind of connects over, behind the well and then over to the connecting trail that's off of Ridge Road, that trail that kind of goes around Ridge Road. So maybe if we just did a better job at, have a cleanup day for our trail network there. I think that land, that parking area is kind of under the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. And it's like, I don't know what they would, they kind of are the landowners and maybe managers of it. I think from our perspective, if we had a better trail, maybe that would get more people there that would utilize the trail that aren't there for stuff that they shouldn't be there for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Mario. I think one of the disadvantages, I guess you could say, of that trail is it's extremely short. So it's not necessarily a destination hike for many people. You could cover it on a mountain bike, maybe in under 2 minutes or 3 minutes, the whole thing.
No, but it's a good family-friendly kind of thing, and that we did, make the attempt to expand it with that loop, but the loop isn't really maintained, and we kind of need a maintenance day out there, I think, to try to spruce that up a little bit, and because make it more of a picnic area, because it really is kind of a nice family area. It's a short little hike. It's kind of like the Assabet Park sort of trail network, and we just create an appeal to someone else or a different group of people to try to get more families to use it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't even realize it had a gate.
Neither.
Yeah, it's as far, well, that's a good point. Like I said, every time I drive by, it's, unfettered access down the road into the little cul-de-sac type turnaround area. Pretty sure there is a gate there, whether it can be closed or not. Maybe not. It's been left open for 10 or 15 years. I don't know.
Steve, have you ever messed with the gate?
Yeah, it's a very good gate. It's one of those that they call an MDC gate. It's similar to the one that's down at the Yellow property to keep people out of the field there. It's a very solid one. It's never been closed because I don't think anyone took responsibility for it. I don't know who would be in charge of that, opening and closing that. I believe it was put in or donated by the state Division of Fisheries and Wildlife when they did the boat ramp. So it'd be a good idea. It's just, I don't know who would open and close that. That's the only other issue.
What time do you?
And as far as, clearing along that trail, that would be good. And perhaps, an Eagle Scout project, as far as putting some benches along the shore there, that's a possibility too, where someone could sit there and fish from shore. But, there's a lot of vegetation that needs to be trimmed back really so you could have access to, for casting and that sort of thing. But anything would definitely be an improvement for what's there now.
Right.
Bill, did you recently clean that out and replace a boardwalk at the end?
Yeah, I know last fall I went through that whole trail and it was a little little long in the tooth. So I brush cutted the whole thing, took some blowdowns out, replaced the old bridge at the Ridge Road end. The only thing that needs to be done there now is screaming for help is that upper loop. It needs to be cleaned out. If you walked by it and you really didn't look for the blazing, you wouldn't even notice there was a trail there. It's still you can still navigate it, but I put it on my list for the summer. If I ever am bored, I'm gonna go up and clean that out. But one question on the vegetation on the shoreline: are there any regulations or any setback requirements for cutting vegetation at that pond that would inhibit us from making any space on the shore there?
There is, but we could file an RDA. I think the commission would waive their 25-foot no touch for a small public access area. They do own, it's technically owned by the water department, but conservation does manage the land, which is why I thought we'd bring it to you guys first, because you're the arms and legs of the Conservation Commission. So they do manage it, and it is a state boat ramp. And so they would like to see it. I'm guessing they're going to like to see it maintained. So I wanted to see if it was also your priority. You know, we did do the clearing down low. We could put on our list of Eagle Scouts. We do have Eagle Scouts we could reach out to, or the Boy Scout leaders, to see if they would like to do that. There's some boards in the picnic tables that need to be replaced as well. I don't know if an Eagle Scout could do that. I'm not a woodworker, so I don't know what level of expertise that would be needed. And then as far as trash goes, we did have someone clean it up as part of the town cleanup, but it was belated. I'm going to wrap up with that at the end. I have a request for you guys about the trash. So, you know, I just want to find out if it's your priority. There's basic stuff we can do, like, you know, clearing out that lower loop. Do you think it's a good idea? Is it the consensus of the committee that we add this to our Eagle Scout list and consider, you know, maybe a bench installed down by the water?
Yeah, this is Bob Mahalik. I would agree with that. That it's worth it. We just have to be a little careful in the area, you know, that cul-de-sac type turnaround area where the trail starts. It's a fairly narrow piece of land between the cul-de-sac area and where the pond is. It may only be 25 or 30 feet. I don't know, Steve, you know, if we could really clear out enough area where somebody could cast a fishing lure into the pond there. They may just be snagging it on the brush behind them, depending on how good their casting skills are. But certainly
like
making room for a bench.
Jack. Maybe like an observatory deck is a bigger Eagle Scout project that you could put maybe a platform for wildlife observatory and fishing.
Yeah, there's a little spot when you walk down that trail. It kind of goes up on a little bit of a high spot there. It looks over the pond. That would probably be a good spot if you want to do something like that. Although, Bob, when that trail kind of continues on, it does come out from the shoreline as you continue on. So you may be able to find a sweet spot down there somewhere. Yeah, you're right. When you first go in there, it's right on the water. So
yeah, it's pretty narrow. But yeah, I think I never really looked at it with sort of from a perspective of shore fishing. But you know, I could certainly go back there and do two things. One is I can get the backpack blower and just blow the leaves off that Eagle Scout project, actually, that Marielle was the mentor on. That was, I think, the record-setting Eagle Scout project, was putting that loop trail in.
I think we need to put contingencies that the Eagle Scout has to maintain it for 5 years after that type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Whether they go away to college or not.
Yeah, he's going to come back on vacation and maintain it.
But yeah, I could go through there and at least make that trail a bit more visible and take a look at the blazes on the trees, and maybe grab some paint from the equipment shed and paint some blazes on trees. That, you know, if we have nice weather this weekend, I don't have to work, so I could probably do that.
Maybe a little kiosk that we have at the cul-de-sac. I mean, I think the Conservation Commission or the Water Department would have a say about any improvements to the pavement there. I don't really. Not sure that we have that jurisdiction, but you know, maybe we have a kiosk that shows the little network there, and it would encourage more people to utilize that.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
There's a nice sign there. we could add like a map to the sign.
Yeah,
Now, the sign has been broken off.
that's,
I tie wrapped it to the tree so it's visible. You can at least read it, but it needs to be replaced. And the 4x4 that was on, it kind of snapped off. I think somebody put their car into it or something, but I found it in the woods that one time and I cleaned it out. I just tie wrapped it up on a tree.
well, there used to be the butterfly garden. That's right at the entrance there, from Betty Tatro, that kind of need some love.
Yeah.
Maybe the garden club, we can somehow involve them.
I reached out to the garden club serendipitously. One of the members called me about I'll just say about the trash. She cleaned it up. She found a Republic bin down there, a Republic Services bin, a wheelie bin. Now, a year ago, there was a Tidy Town broken bin and someone was bringing green bags and putting them in the bin. And I called the highway department. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this, but I can't even fit it in my car. He took care of it. So now this nice resident named Marnie Frankian and her friend went down there and they cleaned up all that area and they put all the trash in this Republic Services bin. So if any of you want, because you always want to reuse first, does anyone want an intact Republic Services wheelie bin? I will give you some green bags for free and you could fill the green bags with the stuff in the wheelie bin and then you get a free wheelie bin and the park is cleaned up. So if you guys don't want it, I'll ask conservation and open space. No one is obliged to take it, but if you are, just let me know and we can get rid of the trash in the wheelie bin. Because I don't think we need to ask highway to throw it away since it's perfect good wheelie bin. Marnie is also a member of the garden club. And she said she was actually reaching out to me about Pollinators Week. And I said that we already have a butterfly garden at that same place that you just cleaned up. So she is going to reach out to the garden club about doing some loving on that butterfly garden. About, I want to say 5-6 years ago, a Girl Scout troop did go in and add some more, and weeded and added some more pollinator plants. So maybe the garden club could take that on. So I'll wait to hear back from them. But she'd heard of it. She'd heard of the pollinator garden in Betty Tatro, and she knows that it's been a little neglected.
I think they still mow that, or at least somebody mows that at least once a year with a fairly large tractor.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, I mow it. I mow it in the fall, and the highway department mows it at one point. And I mow the area to the right of the entranceway, and also the area down by the picnic tables and the trees right on the crest of the hill as you go into that cul-de-sac area. I mow that when I mow the well. So I was over there today. I didn't actually mow it because it really isn't tall enough, but
Right.
I try to keep that mowed down so that it keeps the place visible from Lyman Street so the police can see who's in there, and also try to keep the people from dumping all their trash over there.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's
it's
awesome.
good.
Maybe
Yeah.
that'd be a good place for some trail cams.
I was going to suggest that, Cheryl. Say, like mine, I do have 3 trail cams. I put 3 up on Pisgah, but I've been saving because we remember some issues on Inman Hill, and so I think maybe if you're not aware, that place does have a sketchy reputation, but I'll get another sign that says this area is under surveillance, and then they've been notified. But yeah, put some trail cams. As far as the gate goes, I'd be willing to drive at the end of the day, but that's at 4. I could go over and lock it up every night. Do we want to close it at 4?
I don't think we need to start doing locked
No.
gates.
Okay.
They become awfully hard to consistently close and open, and I think that a cleanup and some trail work and just some effort to we don't want to prevent people from going down there. We just want to
Right,
make
that's the thing.
a better destination.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I also too imagine, Mia, that if you did go there at 4, there'd be cars in there, and then you're in a situation where you're starting to have to ask people to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that can get a little bit tenuous.
Just maybe some police presence might help a little bit too. I don't know if,
They already do visit often.
yeah, I'd imagine that it's already on their list of places to frequent,
Yep.
but
But the
Yeah, I think
reputation
some-
is real. Don't go alone.
Yeah, I think if,
pretty creepy.
if we have some better signage there, clean up the trail, put some benches in, make it look like there's, some activity and actually hopefully create some, family type activity there. That could go quite a long ways towards, maybe diverting those other uses to some other location. And also just providing a better trail. A nice, like Mariel said, a nice little short thing, just like at Assabet Hill. So that's a good
Well, I
idea.
mean, they even having a playground there, but I don't know how that would meet the zone 1 requirements out there or not, but I don't know, maybe just making it more of a destination.
I'll go to DPW too, and I'll see what we can do about the pavement. I'll, Fred and Scott, Fred Litchfield, the town engineer, Scott Charpentier, the DPW director. I'll see what options there are. We don't want to put gravel or crushed stone because that'll just end up migrating into the pond the way it slopes out there. But maybe some stone dust or even repaving if somebody's paving nearby.
Mhm. Yeah.
Get a quote as to how much it would cost, and
Maybe Amazon could pay for it.
maybe. They could
Is
get us
there
pavement
any
if we want.
funding like?
A lot of pavement.
What were you saying, Steve?
Is there like in the future, like a year or so down the road, is that something that like the community preservation could apply for some funding to do some paving in there?
Absolutely. I think that would, go under a sort of like a maintenance heading.
If you guys are behind it, I can bring it to the Conservation Commission because it's technically owned by the Water Department, managed by the Conservation Commission. So we'd have to just get like a group effort,
Mhm.
everybody to go to CPC for management of open space.
I have a vague recollection. I brought this up and it may have been discussed a bit, but making the butterfly garden area an off-leash dog park. Did I bring that up before?
So the garden is in the front, and then that right as you go in, it's to the left. That's where like the big stock perennial bushes are for the pollinator butterfly garden. Then that field, for a short time, they let it grow, but it's kind of inconsistent with the wells nearby, which the town still maintains. They don't use, but they maintain. You don't want vermin in the long grass. So now it's open. There is room. We did look at that site as a dog park. We considered it. It would be a small dog park and it would have to stay outside the zone 1 of the wells.
Okay.
I love that idea. I don't live here, I don't pay taxes, so don't valid my opinion doesn't matter. But I think it would solve your problem with the other uses to bring a lot of use there.
That's what I was just thinking too.
I mean, we
What a good
couldn't
intervention.
do, I think one of the original or a different proposal for a dog park area had sort of like a rotation of dogs could run in a certain area for 1 year and then that would be closed and then they'd have another area. We couldn't do that there because it's small, but if the dog owners are responsible and police themselves and pick up their waste, maybe we wouldn't need a sort of a rotation system in that area. And, there'd always be that, I guess, that underlying caveat, which is if the dog owners aren't treating the area properly, it's just going to be closed down.
I actually drew this in September 2020. This was Mia doodling. This is, can you see it?
Yep.
This was, because like I said, I've always thought the dog park would be great here, but it would be a small dog park. So there is a wetland. Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
There's a wetland here across to the right of the drive. This is your zone 1 and your zone 2 for the well. And that still leaves all this area. And can you see the loop here?
Oh, okay.
So people could park all along here, like nose in and along here. And then there would be if we did 3 half-acre sections, like a teeny little dog area here. The little dog area doesn't usually need to be rested. And then 2 big dog areas, but they'd only be a half an acre. Half an acre is not that much, 20,000 square feet. This would be a small dog park. Or you could do one that didn't have a rest area,
Yep.
run it into the ground, and then close it every fall. and then wait till the spring. Some
Right.
dog parks do that too. And
Yeah.
if we used that foundation, I can't remember the name of the foundation. If we use them, you have to have a rest area. They have certain rules and sizing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, our trail goes right along the edge of those bushes there. Where, there's the little cul-de-sac area. It's
Yeah, it
kind of
goes
through
right-
the woods, and then it skirts that boundary between the bushes, the trees and the grass, and then crosses the purple area and goes behind the well.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there it is. That's the dotted line. I see it.
Yeah, and I
I
don't think
just
we'd
wrote
want
that, today, so I wouldn't want to lose that.
No, it wouldn't clear the trees either.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to be clearing any of this vegetation
Mhm.
near the lake, near the pond. I mean, you do have this 100-foot offset. This is the edge of the pond here.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to clear any of the trees.
I mean, the nice thing about that is there's no houses around there.
It's
The
industrial.
dog can bark their brains out, and it's no one's going to hear it. And it would definitely transition the demographics of that area quite a bit. So, that, I thought that would be a nice area, other than the fact that it's a little bit small, but maybe people would realize, hey, it's a small area, and so it might not attract a huge amount of people compared to, say, Kearney Park or something like that.
Steve, you live in the neighborhood. What do you think about a dog park there?
I have mixed feelings about dog parks. I have a dog and I walk him on leash all the time, and I have a lot of trouble with people with their dogs off leash, especially walking down the aqueducts. I had a run-in with a resident on Stirrup Brook about 1.5 years ago. She was walking a couple little small dogs. They were all three of them were off leash, and they came at me. I had stopped probably 200 yards away from the person so that she could see me. She had no control of her dogs. They came after my dog, and I had to get the dog officer involved. And is this dog park going to be fenced in so that if someone's walking on the trail, they don't have to worry about a loose dog coming after them with if they're walking their dog on a leash?
Yeah, that would be my understanding, Steve. It would have to be fenced in, also to keep dogs from running out onto Lyman Street.
Yeah.
And I think Northborough Unleashed dismissed the site because it was too small. They were literally looking at a bigger site.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it was just an idea, but as a non-dog owner, I thought that would work. But yeah, it did, in retrospect, seem a little bit small.
Steve, what do you think about paving versus stone dust?
I personally think that the paving would be better, just because, it's a boat ramp. People go over there with their boats with trailers, and it'd be nice to have a paved area with a section in the middle set aside for people with boat trailers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Whitehall Reservoir off of Route 135 in Hopkinton, but they've got it's probably a little bit bigger of an area than what we have over there, but the parking area is set up so that people with boats and trailers have designated areas, and then people with car top, canoes, kayaks, that sort of thing, they have another spot to park. And I think if you did pavement over there, it would solve a couple of problems. One, you'd have areas for people to park with their trailers and boats, and then in the off season, that's a highly used area for ice fishermen in the wintertime, as well as people skating. So it's a multi-year, season type area. And I think, if we need to go in there and plow it, stone dust, it's okay if the ground is frozen solid, but, 75% of the time, the ground isn't frozen hard. You end up peeling all that stuff up, and it's just a big maintenance issue. So if there's a possibility of down the road, a year or so, if conservation could apply for a grant or, that community preservation money, and just even start pave the cul-de-sac area. The main driveway isn't too bad. So start off with that, and then, as money gets available, then perhaps redo more of the driveway. But that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, Stephen. I've been over to the Whitehall Reservoir and seen the boat. It's almost like these elongated parking lots or parking spots that if you say you have a pickup truck with the boat trailer, you can pull in, you back up to the ramp, unload your boat, and then basically just pull straight ahead into a long spot, maybe a 50-foot long parking spot. And at Whitehall, they just line up like dominoes. And that way, then when you bring your boat back, you don't have to do any kind of weird gymnastics with your truck and trailer. You just throw it in reverse and back right down the ramp, put your boat on, and then you're out of there. That's a great idea. I really like that. But yeah, I also too, from a plowing perspective, I've seen big piles of stone, on these stone dust roads and gravel roads, when the snow thaws in the spring. You realize that half of your rocks are pushed up against the boundary of the parking area, because it's hard to gauge, if there's, 10 or 12 inches of snow and you drop your plow blade down. It's not always easy to tell that you're getting pure snow or half rock and half snow. So yeah, that's very, very insightful.
So if I can just get back for a moment to the land use, I love Marielle's idea of making it more family friendly, and it sounds like maybe the dog park won't fly if it's too small. I mean, I don't have an answer to that, but maybe the people in the rec department can brainstorm a little bit and see if there's anything that land could be used for.
I talked to Rec today about that. You and I think alike. So I went down to Rec and I asked her, what can we do with Watson Park? And she says they don't even put it on their list of parks on their website because of the current use. I don't know how else to say it. So she did try to run, I think she said about 8 years ago, she ran a kayaking course. She's a certified boat instructor, and she ran a kayaking course, and she would go down there and they would not leave. Yeah. And she had kids coming. So she actually had to have the police.
That makes sense to me.
Go down 45 minutes before each class and clear them out.
Yeah, that was my first thought when Marielle first said that. But then I got onto the dog park thing and I'm like, yeah, we get people there and it changes over. But
yeah, it is a high use. Almost every time I'm there, there's people sitting in cars with their engines running, waiting for each other.
Yeah.
There were 2 cars this evening when I rode through around 6:30. Yep. Kind of like, what are you guys up to? They're not riding. They're not on the trail. So, yep.
Yep.
No.
They're not fishing, they're not boating. They weren't even watching the sunset.
Oh,
how dare they?
The swans. So it would have to be like a high volume use.
Right. The dog park is a great idea for that reason, because there'll be a whole bunch of people coming in, but like a playground, which would be lovely, and the butterfly garden and all that is not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly, paving it, putting the truck and trailer parking in there, that's a bit more long-term. But, even a suboptimal off-leash dog park, maybe it's satisfactory. And it doesn't have to be the only dog park that we ever have in town. There could be others, but this might be something where, and I think it's always good to kind of distribute that sort of stuff anyway. I've lived in towns where there was like only one set of trails that you could ride mountain bikes on, and they just got beat up because all the mountain bikes they had area to go to. And I think would be for dogs. It might be better to have a couple off areas long-term, 5,
Mhm.
10 years. And, if Watson Park is a small one and we can end up with a bigger off-leash dog park area somewhere, I don't think it'd be frowned upon.
I could call Northborough Unleashed and just be like, look, this isn't the dog park you want, but this could be one of the dog parks.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be, what is it, Contituate State Park? Is that the one in Framingham, the huge one? And it's not going to be Kearney. Like this isn't the answer, but I mean, would you guys be willing to partner with them, like support them? And so, and to review too. So we said we're going to add it to the Eagle Scout list to maybe get a bench in there and clear out some area down by the water.
Mhm.
Bob and Bill are going to be working on clearing out that loop, some like trail maintenance. I'm going to check with DPW about paving. I'll see like what type of paving they recommend and get some costs. And I'll check with the Conservation Commission to see if they support possibly a CPC application to get that area repaved. If there's anything else I put on here. And then I'll reach out to Northborough Unleashed and I'll say like, this isn't the big dog. This isn't it's called Stanton Foundation. This isn't your Stanton Foundation dog park, but what if we, and I'd have to talk to the water department too,
Right.
to see if they'd be, because it is close to their wells. We'd stay out of the zone 1. That would solve what do you think, Steve? Just a little dog park with hours.
I don't object to that. I don't object to that. A lot would be up to Scott because I think the highway would be maintaining inside that as far as mowing and whatnot. Because once you fence it in, it's probably would limit how big of equipment we can get in there. We wouldn't be taking a brush hog in there anymore. We'd be taking a small lawnmower in there. So, that'd be more up to him. He's got the final say on that.
I'd want it down here by the trees. If you have trees, you don't have to mow it. And they don't rip it up as much in their shade.
Yeah.
But we can reopen that. I got to talk to Scott about the paving anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like to let the record reflect that Jim Stein has joined the meeting. Jim,
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
you're on mute, Jim. Also, let the record reflect Jim Stein's an IT professional and he's on mute.
I was just thinking that same thing. He hasn't figured out the mute thing on Zoom yet. Jim, you're
I
still
feel
on mute.
so bad.
All right, so we've got a list of improvements. I think we can get moving on.
Okay. Yeah, do you want to display the agenda, please, Mia?
I have to switch to the agenda. There you go.
Okay. So let's see, we talked about, some maintenance topics, trail topics. So Watson Park, we just went through that. So one thing that I caught, full disclosure, I was out of state last week when I think some vandalism occurred on some of the kiosks at Green Street, the Shunder Trail area, and also at Mount Pisgah. So I can't really, other than reading some of the emails, I don't know exactly what happened, but if anyone wants to provide an update on that, please feel free.
You want me to give an update?
Sure, Mia, that would be great.
So the vandalism was reported, the police responded. We have a couple that walks the Pisgah twice a day. They called, they found a tag, like a spray paint tag on it was funny because it was on this area is under surveillance sign. It was actually on that. And it was on the kiosk and a tree. And then the suspect went down to the Green Street and started tagging Green Street. There was a gentleman in his car. And the suspect did not notice that he was in his car, and he went to tag the man's car, and the dude in the car was like, "Don't tag my car." And so the suspect jumped in his car and tried to speed away, but hit a parked car and his license plate fell off.
God.
So they caught him. And then the police contacted me Friday night. They emailed me. I gave them my cell, so now they know it's me. I had just gotten the trail cams up 2 weeks before, and they got my trail cam footage and they're using it. And so I think it's going to be a small charge. They actually asked him, they said, you're going to be responsible for cleaning it. Then Monday, they contacted me and asked me, and I emailed a few of you to get some cost estimates. So I emailed you before I even went out. And then I went out and tried to look for the damage, and it was gone. There was nothing. So I reached out to the police and I said, someone cleaned it up. And he said, well, try to find them because we need to get a cost for damages. The police reached the suspect. He had already cleaned it all. So
Wow.
I imagine he's remorseful. It's all gone. You can't even see what it was anymore.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, that's bizarre.
The moral of the story is make sure your license plate is firmly attached to your car.
and don't tag cars with people in it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of faux pas there.
Yeah. I just got the trail cam footage from Pisgah today because I've been checking them and the battery was really high. So I haven't reviewed it yet. The police have one of the cameras and I got the other two today. So I'll let you know if I find anything good.
So, was there any significance to these graffiti tags? Is this some sort of a?
It was a phallic symbol.
Oh, okay. So no significance.
I think one of them looked like the old school, the Anarchy A symbol.
Yeah, that was painted on the Aqueduct Bridge years ago.
From the picture I saw on the Green Street sign, I don't fear that's like racially motivated or anything. It's just blatant stupidity.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a question about the Crane Swamp Trail. I noticed that there's a bunch of flagging out by the old pump house that's out there when you access it off of Lyman Street. And I didn't know if you know what's being planned. Like, it looks like the edge of the roadway's flagged, and it kind of just goes from Lyman Street to the pump house. And so our trail kind of goes through there. So I didn't know if there's any plans to tear down that building or replace a pipe or what's going on with that. And then I also wanted to maybe talk about a couple of other like project ideas in town for trails, because connecting over to where the that access is off of Lyman Street to Crane Swamp is you have to now, because of the development that's going on top of the hill. We had talked about, making use of that road that goes up the hill off of the access to Little Chauncey. Because Lyman Street is just getting so dangerous with the truck traffic. There's just 18-wheelers and you have to ride on the road now. And I'd like to, now that it's kind of built out a little bit more in the development, maybe talk to the contractor about if there's somewhere we can have a conversation with Westboro or whatever about trying to reconnect that without having to be on Lyman Street. And then if you're talking to the DPW, I also sort of have this idea of where, again, so much traffic and people are just walking on the streets, about maybe a trail that's more like a gravel path on the sewer right-of-way that goes along School Street, and then having it continue along Brigham Street, also on like the Weld property there, because there's a long section of land there that I believe is owned by the town. And was thinking from a safety perspective, there's so many people that just do that walk around South Street, Brigham Street, School Street, that it would be maybe a nice opportunity to have like a trail that runs parallel that could kind of cut over towards the road and then back onto the road where you're just not on Brigham Street as much. So I just wanted to kind of just float that idea if people had any thoughts or if anyone's ever had any conversations about, trails there.
If I might offer something, I live right off of School Street and I'm familiar with the right of way you're talking about. But a couple of years ago, I started to notice that there's small identifying tags up that indicate that some of that property seems to be part of, I can't remember if it's the Assabet Valley trustees or the trustees of reservations, but it's one or the other that seems to claim that right away, or at least some of it now. I know the town people still mow it once or twice a year,
Where is
but,
this? Along
so
School
right,
Street?
right along School Street. If you
I think
know,
it's SVT signs, little trail symbols, SVT.
yeah, I think it is SVT now that you say it.
Yeah, and it starts kind of, if you're going down School Street out towards Brigham, just pretty much as you cross the tracks, on the left is where the sewer right of way is. And it's mowed, and it has a nice opportunity for a trail to get people just off of the road. But I think if it was a graveled kind of more pedestrian friendly kind of trail, more people might use it than if it were, I mean, just the mowed area doesn't, I think, get people on it. And that's where the SVT signs are, but I'm pretty sure that land is owned by the town right away.
I don't know where.
So Maya, it's, if you're looking at a map of School Street, the clearing, the right of way that we're discussing starts just about opposite Buena Vista Road, just maybe 100 feet further toward Brigham than where Buena Vista is, but it's on the other side of School Street from where Buena Vista is.
It's on the golf course, Riverside.
It's on the golf course in Riverside until you get down to the place where the golf teaching center is, just past Catherine Drive.
And
yeah, right. The one house is on that side at that point.
At that point, the right of way crosses School Street, and it's on the side opposite the golf course until you get down to the water department building.
Yes, Sudbury Valley Trustees owns 1.8 acres just after 89 School Street.
Yeah, I think that's
When
right.
you're going towards Brigham. And then the next piece is owned by Juniper Hill.
Oh, the golf course owns.
Yeah, then the golf course. So it's a little 1.8 acres so along the road. Let me see.
But the town doesn't have a sewer right, because it's where the sewer right away is.
Kind of. So
may have
SVT has about 350 feet. And there is a sewer easement that starts across the street at 102 School Street and then goes along the road. There's a sewer easement there.
Right, so
I think
if the
that's a great
trail could
idea.
be on the sewer easement, and then when you get onto Brigham Street, there's a big tract of land that's owned by the town. And again, I think it's the water department, where it's a pretty forested area, and it's a really narrow section of Brigham Street. So I've always just kind of eyed that section, just kind of parallel with the road, but following the grade of the landscape of cutting in, again, some sort of like gravel, or maybe even a paved sort of like bike path trail, just to go up a little bit. I can't remember the name of the street that is before
Milk porridge.
Sunset Drive, I guess.
Is it milk porridge?
No, Milk Porridge.
Juniper.
Sunset.
I'm saying on the other side of Brigham Street, so you can kind of cut through the neighborhood because there's a sidewalk there. And I'm trying to
Catherine?
No,
Catherine Drive.
nope, it's not Catherine
I
Drive.
think it's Sunset,
On
right?
Brigham Street now.
Oh, on Brigham Street. That's Sunset.
Boulevard.
Yeah, so Sunset Drive, where those duplexes are, kind of just across from where the well access is. Just it kind of ended there, or keep going as long as possible as
So
a
Juniper
potential-
Hill owns it, and the sewer easement, so the town has an easement just for the sewer. The town doesn't own it.
on
So
Brigham Street.
On
Brigham
Brigham,
Street?
no, this is on School, back on the part on School. There is a sewer easement, but I think that there's a fence right there for the golf course.
No,
Is there much space?
Yeah, no, I'd happy to walk with you and meet you sometime to kind of show if anyone else would be interested in.
Yeah, it kind of
So
goes
before-
down. There's no fence between the road and the sewer easement.
No.
Okay, but then if it goes down, there's a sewer easement. I mean, people could walk on the sewer easement, but I mean, it's still private property.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
'cause
town
we-
doesn't own it, and we couldn't have a trail necessarily on the sewer easement?
No, we had something like behind 135, and this was like just a private homeowner was using the sewer easement and saying, it's town property. It's not, it wasn't town property. So we, here in this office, we advised this resident, this is not town property, it's a sewer easement. And the easement specifically states its use, and the use is to maintain the sewer line, not for public access. And when these private owners granted the town the sewer easement, or maybe they may not have much choice in the matter. The use was outlined that for sewer, not for public access.
So if we wanted to explore that, we would have to talk to the landowners about whether or not they'd be interested in an easement for a trail.
Yeah, we have some, and there's a drain easement over on Edmund Hill, same thing. The
Yeah.
the homeowners were
Okay.
saying, this isn't for people to walk on, this was a drain easement. So, I mean, we could talk to Juniper Hill about
Yeah.
having a trail there. It's up to you guys.
So Marielle, could you, I'm a little confused. So this is just a brand new trail that you, or brand new access that you would be looking for, not necessarily, is there any connectivity with, say, behind Ellsworth McAfee Park or Chauncey or anything?
No,
like that?
no, it's really just more of sort of a making the town more walkable, not necessarily as, a wilderness experience, but more from trying to create safer access on those roads, and creating sort of there's like a little trail-like experience, especially on the Brigham Street section. So just, I would recommend that if you guys are in that area and look to see, it'd be nice to try to create a safer way for people to walk on those two streets without being in the road, without making it a major, cut down every tree to put a sidewalk in kind of thing. Because there are those two kind of like right-of-ways and opportunities for making a better neighborhood network, that a lot of people, I mean, there's so many neighborhoods that kind of connect people to the downtown and would create a nice, more urban sort of trail network.
Yep, I get you. Okay.
And there are always people out there walking, running,
I mean,
riding bikes. I mean, it's really popular.
And it's dangerous because there's a lot of people that travel Brigham Street
Mhm.
going to the golf course. And so that gets a
Or the
fair
high
amount of
school.
traffic, and the traffic kind of comes also from School Street way. There's just more and more traffic I see on that section. And just again, I think it would create a nice walking experience for, people in the community.
Yeah,
I
and
could
Brigham
just,
Street in general is just very narrow. I remember going down there running one morning when kids were driving to Algonquin High School, and like we're going 40 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour on that road, through where the golf course is and stuff, like, no concern whatsoever for the fact that there could be a runner or a bike rider on the road. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous as it is.
Yeah, I just
But,
feel like I look for ways to try to connect neighborhoods and where we don't have sidewalks or something that gives a different experience than just walking on a sidewalk. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, that's all right. If I could just put something on your mind here, Bob, to kind of, you mentioned it, what could it interconnect with? And you're right, Brigham and School Street are both treacherous and they carry a ton of pedestrian traffic. But there are ways, pretty well established, often used ways to go down School Street to Juniper Circle. And then Juniper Circle has two spurs off of it. And one of those spurs leads to a trail that will take you across some farmland that I think is owned by the state and leased out to farmers. And you can get down to Lake Chauncey that way.
Right,
and-
those are the access to, at the end of School Street, to the whole Little Chauncey and the 135 Fish and Wildlife, that we have some of those trails.
The other sort of spur or cul-de-sac off of Juniper Circle goes to a trail that will take you over to the I think it's Fish and Wildlife property, wildlife management property that used to be part of the state hospital, over in the general vicinity behind the 135 athletic fields, but quite a ways behind and across the river behind there. So, I mean, and of course, there's a lot of trails in there. Then once you get there, you can connect to all kinds of places.
Right.
So, just to put that on your thought processes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember seeing that. The Juniper Brook Road is that loop, and then there's a little cul-de-sac off there, and at the end of the cul-de-sac is a little entrance into the Westboro Fish and Wildlife area. Yeah, I wanted to mow there one time and they told me not to because there's like nesting birds or something like that.
Probably so.
So I didn't mow.
Yeah, those are the two access points I use all the time to ride. Well, there's those two cul-de-sacs
Right.
that you access from there. So yes, that is basically riding along. That's where I see people, and then to know that. But I think also there's an opportunity to, again, connect neighborhoods. People could go that way, go down Sunset Drive where there's actually a sidewalk on a portion, and come out onto 135 and get to the park, for instance, and not have to be on, roads that, people could push a stroller and feel more comfortable by connecting the neighborhoods to the parks by that type of a network. And not feel like risking their life when they're on Brigham Street.
And then I remember that Mario brought up this big new development that they're putting in on, is it Lyman? I think Lyman Street.
In Westboro?
Yeah, right across from where
Yeah,
the
I can check
auction.
in. Remember, we were waiting, Mariel and I met with staff over there in Westboro, and we were waiting for them to get to a certain point in construction, and their planning board in Westboro, as part of their decision, had required a certain type of access. And they were exploring two different access, like either a sidewalk through that new, it's called Chauncey Del Webb, or they were going to explore, they had a town sewer easement that during the planning board process, they had explored making a trail there to connect to Hospital Road. So I can contact the staff over there and see if there's, how far they are in construction, if they've gotten these trails. It's going to be part of their planning board decision. So we need to find out where it comes out. And I think they were looking to see if they're, do you remember this meeting, Marielle? So they were trying to see if they.
I kind of vaguely remember. I'd really like to be able to schedule, like, maybe just meeting out at the site to kind of review. And maybe, I don't know, is Don Adams still the Westboro trail guy? Like, it'd be.
No, he's with the Community Land Trust, but I think I could contact
Sherry.
Don Burns.
Yeah.
Don Burns, you mean, right?
Yep, Don Burns.
Don Burns. Yeah, that's what I meant, not Don. Yeah.
But Sherry is their conservation agent. They have two there. They have two, and she's one of them. So I can call her. I just see where they're at with that.
That would be nice too if we
kind of show in the field like what I'm kind of envisioning to reconnect that network that we lost. And again, there's another situation where it's just like our trails, we're losing them, and it just the roads are getting more treacherous to be on.
Yeah. I mean, that would be nice too, to be able to come out of Crane Swamp near the auto auction, the state auction area, just cross right over Lyman.
You got it. Yeah.
And then
you
get
should
over.
be able to do that before, because you go up that hill, you come out of the little Chauncey access, you take the right and go up that paved hill and kind of go around the fence into where the old Westboro State facilities were. And then you just kind of take a left at the laundry building there. And then you just kind of have to cut across the street a little bit, and you would cut off that really dangerous corner where there's 18 wheelers all the time now on that section of road.
Yeah.
And you mean the old Hospital Road?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll contact them over there.
Yeah. And there is an access to get to the sewer line very easily from there too. That sewer line cleaned out would be an awesome secondary access to get over to Big Chauncey.
Yeah, when we spoke with them, they were looking into that. So it's time to check back and find out what they found.
Thank you. That sounds good. And then, if you can figure out what they're doing, if someone's planning on taking down that building, and because I just wonder if that trail is going to be out of commission.
Oh, yeah. Chauncey
Hall.
An
NOI that's filed or something?
Yep, Chauncey Hall. They're demolishing Chauncey Hall and putting in a DCAM, the Department of Capital Assets and Property Management. Chauncey Hall is they came in with an RDA to demolish Chauncey, and then they came back with a NOI to knock down the tanks at the top of the hill.
Could you expand what those acronyms
What are the
mean?
acronyms? Yeah.
Sure. So they came in for a small permit application for the demolition of Chauncey Hall. Do you guys know where Chauncey Hall is? On Lyman Street. It's like the newest.
That's not in the Yeah, I mean, that I'm thinking of, but maybe it's part of the whole overall project.
So if you're driving from Northborough to Westborough on Lyman Street, that whole left side of the road, all those buildings, Chauncey Hall, the power plant, the
Power
auction,
plant.
then there's
It's the
a,
Power plant, Marielle.
yeah, then there's a
No, I think
road.
it's way down in the road. There's there's an old pump station. That's where all that, the
Pump-
road that you take.
pump
to-
Yeah,
station.
that's in Westboro.
Yes.
So they're gonna be
That's-
demolishing that too.
Yeah, so they probably
yeah.
thought it was in Westboro for that.
Yep. I
Okay.
don't know if they're actually, because that's part of, they went before Westboro Conservation Commission for that, because that's technically over the Westboro line. I don't
Okay.
know if they chose to demolish it or keep it, but we could check with them. But then there's that road that goes up to the tanks. The road itself goes like through a wetland, so they had to get an NOI to demolish the tanks.
And then the RDA, what's the RDA?
A request for termination of applicability. It's a small permit because the work to demolish Chauncey Hall was in the buffer zone, but none of it was in the wetlands.
Okay.
So, and those two pole barns behind Chauncey Hall, those are going as well. And that's going to be DCAM's big facility for Central Mass.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be like a LEED certified building with zero carbon, and it's going to be great. Looks great.
But that
Yeah.
pump station must be in the wetlands.
If
When
you're
it's literally
coming
on the
from,
wetlands.
yeah, across from Chauncey Hall, there's that old pump station.
No,
Yeah,
it's
no,
actually on
not
the
that one.
trail. You
Okay,
can't drive
so-
down there.
That's right, where the,
Yeah, they had to go to
Small
Westboro
trail.
Conservation for that. That's in Westboro.
Yeah.
So they did.
so I'm just kind of wondering about the schedule, because it looks like they're gonna have to, it looks like they might have to close off that section of trail to do that work.
Yeah, when construction's going on.
Is it, you
Definitely.
think it's just gonna take this one season for, I'm just wondering how long we won't have that trail.
I don't know. They haven't called for their erosion control inspection. They did recently. They have one contractor doing the whole thing, all the demo in Northborough and Westboro. And they did recently like submit a project change so that the project is moving forward. It's for this season.
It
Okay.
could,
Wow.
yeah, it could break up the Cedar Hill loop.
Yeah,
'cause
maybe
it's
we
right
should put
there.
something
It won't
on our
be long.
website.
It's just a demo project. And that trail's in Westboro.
Mhm.
So we could try. I don't know if we make an announcement when they start work.
Maybe put a sign at the trailhead or something. You can't, you're going to have to turn back if you get to this point. I don't know.
Okay. So that I could do that with my call with Sherry too. Sign at Crane Swamp Trailhead.
Well, that would be like the Cedar Hill trailheads. All
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, to the top of Cedar Hill will be, you won't be able to go that way
Yeah.
for a time period. Yeah.
Yep, they're gonna have to close that off. Although you still can get to, you just can't enter there on Lyman Street.
Well, it's
Because-
right at the intersection of the trails. The pump station is. So
Yep.
like literally if you need 100 yards, then you're closing down the trail. It's right there.
On highways, they say local traffic only.
I'll ask Sherry. I'll ask her
Yeah.
because it wasn't included in my plans.
So the road to those water tanks that they're gonna take down has always been like a good way to make a loop and connect to. I don't know if there's any opportunities to somehow incorporate that road or if that's all gonna be kind of built into their development, but it'll be too bad if we can't.
No, just Chauncey Hall.
Okay.
So DCAM has said to us that they are beginning the process of surplusing. It's a huge parcel,
Yeah.
hundreds of acres. I don't want to misspeak, but it's a lot of acres. And so 162. So they are using the Chauncey Hall and Pole Barn area, and then they're going to try to surplus the rest. They have said that they're starting the process to surplus it. That process looks like it gets offered to other state agencies, like Fish and Wildlife. And if they take it, then it's done. Then next comes the town, and the town administrator has said in a meeting with DCAM, the town is very interested in purchasing this land.
Good place for a dog park.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it might be. And so, we are very interested, and everybody has their eyes on it. Open
Oh.
Space wants it, Conservation wants it, you guys want it, the police want it for training, the rec department wants it for, everybody wants this land. We all want it. So we've made that clear, like, please come to us. And then the Del Webb developer has also approached the state multiple times, but we're at least before them. But when it comes time, like, we have to come up with the money. We have to, like, move on it. So we'll figure it out. Right now they're working on demolition of the tanks, demolition of Chauncey Hall, some of the power plant and the pole barns. They're going to put in the decam facility. And then they already have the permit for the decam facility. And then hopefully they'll be surplusing.
All right, well, thanks for that update. I had no
No
idea.
problem. The tank road will be closed during demo, and it's going to be big. It's like a big process. Don't go there. If you see construction there, stay away, because it's going to be big. Trucks are going to, like, basically cut the metal and
Big
haul it
cranes,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, and you do not want to be riding your bike when that huge truck comes down that rickety old hill. So
No, but pretty much stay out of that way. But there is a loop there that would be nice to at some point incorporate. I have explored it there, but I don't usually go there.
Yeah.
Now, because it's kind of posted.
So I will ask, I wrote sign, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to ask Sherry about signage during construction.
Yeah, we might want to add something to our Facebook page just to let people know, or I don't know.
Yeah,
So when
I'd
I
like to
get,
go out and take a look
Closed, you know,
and see
well,
what's going to be closed, and
yeah.
give people a heads up as far as and maybe even talk with Westboro too and get some signage on their part of it.
who's the Facebook webmaster? Is that you, Brian?
I think Brian and I both have admin
Yeah.
All right.
capabilities.
So I'll email Brian because they're going to call me to inspect erosion controls. I'll try to just send Brian a message. Hey, put it up on Facebook that construction's starting. So once the erosion controls go up, that's a good sign it's about to start.
All right, good to know. Thanks.
Sounds good.
Actually,
The only other thing I
anyone
want.
can post.
Sorry, Jim.
Anyone can post to the Facebook page, right?
I do not. I'm as a town employee. We're
But
not
yeah,
supposed to.
yeah. If you're,
Oh.
Yeah.
if you're on
Oh,
the thing.
Yeah, and anyone can post.
Yep.
If I don't like your content, I'll delete it. though.
Yeah.
He's an after the fact administrator.
Well, yeah, we have.
Power you
There's,
have.
No,
Brian.
it's an open. Once you're a member of the group, anyone can post announcements
Yeah.
there.
I'm
Yeah,
a member, so I see it, but I don't post.
we had to rescind membership from somebody who kept posting about house painting or something like that. Yeah, it had nothing to do with trails. Just she signed up, and every time she posted, it's like, hey, college painters, or whatever it was. That's probably not the name of the group, but we were just like, all right, you're done. It was like 2 or 3 times, and with warnings, and then we had to get out of the club. So we're getting, it's 8:20. I didn't want to forget to bring up if anyone had an update on the bridges for the Stirrup Brook Trail.
So, Bob, Cameron Kane should have reached out to you a couple of times now to get you to sign off on his project. There was an email that he sent out asking me to sign, and then I asked you if I was able to sign or whether it had to be you because you were the
Okay.
chairman.
I signed something for Care, Jeff Care's son. Did you say?
No, Cameron Kane.
Okay, Jeff Care came to the Edmund Hill cleanup and brought his son's paper. He's doing 2 of the bridges.
Gotcha.
I
And I
just
think-
signed it. I want to get him started.
And I think Cameron's doing the other ones. So it's like
Okay.
a combined project between the two of them. I was personally hoping to not head this one up, if possible, only because I'm stupendously busy at work right now. So my free time is
Yeah.
not as much as it was last year.
Right.
I don't know. And we were trying to figure out, I think both Jeff Kayer and Craig Cox, who are Boy Scout fathers, are pretty active in the group here also. And I'm not sure when we give them, official membership status, but I don't know if either of them actually got a notification about the meeting tonight. I neglected to put it up on the Facebook page. But anyway, my hope is that if I'm unable to sort of lead that, and if no one else is, that I would try to figure out if Jeff Kayer can kind of be the primary point of contact. the guy can still help a little bit with the logistics and, you know, some of the lumber and some of that kind of stuff, but I can't commit to doing as much on it as I did whatever
Yeah,
last year for the big Pisgah Bridge.
no, that was huge what you did, Brian, up at Pisgah. I can certainly at least talk with the Eagle Scout dads and see how much you know, I don't have a huge amount of bridge building knowledge, but I don't think all that much is required for these. It's pretty much a straight shot across these little streams. But yeah, I will look. I may have missed Cameron Kane's email to me. So I'll have to look for that and make sure I'm not holding this process up. And then yeah, hopefully get these guys' signatures if they need it, and then you know, maybe meet them at the equipment shed and look and see what kind of lumber inventory we have there, what might need to be purchased.
So Cameron already reached out to me about the lumber, and I said it's anything that's out back there is game. So he was actually going to go survey that stuff and possibly move some of it to his garage to prep it. I said, well, that's fine. They'll still need to buy a whole bunch of stuff. I think they're mostly moving. I mean, he's ready to move, to get moving on it. So I think it's just getting stuff signed, and then the logistics of the lumber. The only bridge out there that really needs interesting construction method is that 24-foot long one that's kind of over the creek that is actually supported at the midpoint.
Right.
That's the only one that needs some amount of trail construction knowledge to figure out best way of putting in. All the other ones they just sit on rocks or sit on the dirt, so they're pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and I think we have a nice 8-foot long pressure treated 8x8 behind the shed. It's, you know, big solid timber that if we may be able to employ that as like a mid-span support on these two 12-foot sections, kind of like what's there now, except I think the only thing there now is a couple 4x4 holding up the middle of that. So if we expand the width of that bridge to 3 feet wide and have that much extra weight on it, I think we'd want something like an 8x8 truss underneath the middle of that. But yeah, I'll definitely look into. I miss these emails sometimes, and Brian, by the way, offline, I'll get you the ability to log into the Trails Committee Gmail account, whether you want it or not. I'll give you the password. So yeah, if I miss an email or something like that, at least we'll set the eyes on that thing. But okay, so I'll make sure I get up to speed on what those guys want to get done, and I'll try my best to mentor them along and get them signatures and just make sure they do the little things that these scout projects require. Like when they have a work day, they've got a clipboard with the sign-in sheet. They can track the hours and things like that.
Yeah, these guys seem pretty up to speed, and both of their dads seem pretty up to speed on things. So I think this one can be done with much less supervision from our end than like the Pisgah Bridge. I think they just need a little bit of fine detailed guidance, and then we should be good to crank it out.
Nice. All right.
I think they are. The form that they had me sign said that they were going to use the wood from behind the shed, and that they were going to fundraise for the rest of the wood, and their dads would be overseeing it. And I saw Jeff, and he said he would be working on it. And I just emailed them. I just checked the Trails Committee email distribution list. I forgot to add their emails. So I just added them and sent them an apology email that I didn't notify them about the meeting tonight. So hopefully we fix that. And Tom Kerrigan, do I still have you? No, I don't have his email. So he has to email me if he wants to get on our list. Unless one of you have it, forward it to me.
So send him an email asking for his email address.
If any of you have it, let me know.
I guess last on our list was just an update for Edmund Hill. Forest, I did a bunch of raking. Forest, I saw some of the 4x4 poster up.
What was
for
that?
the new sliding boulders trail.
Yeah. Well, they got a good start on it, but there's a lot of raking left to be done. basically, it's well marked. It just needs to be highlighted with some raking.
Would a backpack blower do the job up there, or is it too dense?
A combination of hand raking and a blower would do it. I raked for about 4 hours on Sunday, and I was
Nice.
attempting to keep it fairly narrow to start. But yeah, it needs another full, just to get the raking done, needs another afternoon with 4 to 6 people, and then we could probably get that thing knocked out. I'm not sure about the 4x4 numbered posts. Forrest, you're heading that up? Your posts?
Yeah. I'm working on that. I'm working with
Cheryl,
on
you
that
are.
with Forrest. No, the
Okay.
two are together working on that with my
Yeah,
son.
my current plan, Brian, is that the interpretive trail will encompass part of all of the sliding boulder trail, but we haven't really talked about that. I have 2 posts, one near the sliding boulders and the other near the stone wall. But that's all on the west side of the summit trail.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's
we haven't-
coming. That's to be announced
Yes.
when it's ready to be announced. But we're working on it. It'll be cool once we get it done. I have a question about that trail though. Are we thinking about closing down the trail that's now like goes straight down like for reclamation and just using the one that comes around your new
I don't
one?
think it's going to be possible to close it. I think that too many people want to hike right up it. I think that we might attempt some discouragement and try to point people onto the new path, but because the new trail both turns off of the main trail and then crosses over the main trail twice, I can't see it, and the trail is so bedded in. I can't really see any success in trying to outright close it. I mean, we tried to close the summit trail when there's
Right.
private property signs, and people literally tore down my trail closed signs that like led to private property.
And
So just
when
trying
it
to post it
snowed,
that
you
it's
could
closed
feel-
when it's just yeah. So my hope is that we do a little bit pointing out that there's a new trail there, and maybe do some minor barricade, but I'm not really sure. I don't think it's fully viable to close it completely. But I'm open to suggestions too.
Yeah, I think it's just something that we can think about because it's just such a beaten down, brutalized part of the
Yeah.
hill that it
Well,
would
it's
just
like
be
a
nice
stream
to
bed. It's
reclaim
almost
some of it. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Anyone else want to bring up any topics?
Yeah, there's one thing. A few weeks back, somebody had reported that there's a massive beaver dam up on the Cole Harbor Trail on the Church Street side. It's not the first time it's been there, but I went in there this afternoon. It looked like somebody's been in there and then did some massive cleaning. There's some culvert pipe in there now, some cinder blocks. Maybe DCR has been doing some work in there. I don't know. I just wanted to bring it
It's
up
me.
if anybody knew about it. But it's
I'm
wide
doing it.
open again, so that's good news.
I did it.
You did it.
Yeah, not me personally. I coordinated it. In fact, Steve, I don't think Steve is still with us. Steve works for the town of Northborough. He's also a licensed trapper. So it's a two-prong. We had to get someone to break up the dams. There were 2 dams. The residents at 299 and 315 Church Street, they were flooding to the point where their septics were in danger. Their leach fields were in danger. And so it became an emergency situation, septic emergency, not life and limb emergency. And that's damaged property. And Conservation Commission does own that land, so we are responsible for maintaining it. 12 years ago, we asked mosquito control. We are a member of the Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control Project. And so they come out and they do this type of work. And so they breached both dams, the downstream dam first and then the upper dam, and buried. They do this really like kind of turn it under and like really destroy it so that the beavers, can't live there anymore. And then Steve is actually, he works for DPW, and DPW, the DPW director, Scott Charpentier, gave permission, did us a favor and let Steve spend his time. So, so Conservation Commission purchased some beaver trapping equipment that Steve uses. And he did this for us 12 years ago too. And he's caught, I think, 3 beavers and his traps are still out there. If you do talk to anybody, please do spread the word. This is land management. Conservation Commission's aware of it. There's an emergency certification from the Board of Health and Conservation Commission to do this work. And, you know, Steve has experienced some theft of his traps in the past, which are actually, you know, the town's traps. So we don't want those to disappear.
Right.
And yes, we do kill the beavers. So.
Yeah, I remember years ago, there was a relocation effort, but
that's illegal. So they are, it is a death operation, but they're causing damage.
Will you get a hat out of it?
You could just call Steve.
That's just so bad, Brian.
beaver pelt. Yeah.
They make nice hats, right? Or jacket.
But yeah, that's Bill. That was sort of the motivation behind that floating bridge was, you know, the bridge would be up high, and then you know they'd take apart the beaver dams, and then the bridge would sink down. And you know,
yeah, I mean the floating bridge, the water was very low there today, but where the beaver dam was, what was well beyond that. It was almost at the Church Street side.
You know, the boardwalk bridge right there, right as you get on Church Street, the beavers had dammed up right along the boardwalk and then halfway between the boardwalk and the floating bridge. Nice hat. Is that real, Jim? Is that real? He's got a beaver hat.
It's not real beaver, no, but it looks like it. So since it's warm.
Oh, beaver.
So they put in a beaver deceiver. It's called flow device. There was a flow device there, needed some maintenance, so they kind of got some new parts for it. Some of it had rusted off, and so the cinder blocks and the pipe is probably there. And now the water level is low, I can go out and get in there. I couldn't get in.
So they're done with what they're doing then, right?
Mosquito control is. I wasn't sure they were done with the flow device yet. They told me they were going to go back out and work on the flow device. But this is all happening right now, like day to day.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that you know, from that bridge, which I think the Rotary Club put in maybe 20 years ago, which is maybe 100 or 150 feet from Church Street. That's for years has just been very difficult to traverse. And there's real, you know, there's no parking at Church Street per se. I don't know what the easement there is, 10 feet or 20 feet. But, you know, I was thinking it would be nice to have a little parking area there, maybe 2 cars. I don't think that's possible to fit. Most people just go across the floating bridge, do that beaver loop, and then head back towards Cherry Street.
I run into people that come in from church that are walkers a lot if I'm up there. I ask, where do you come from? They're like, I live on Church Street.
Yep. A lot of people on Church Street go in there.
Yeah.
It is used. It is well trod.
Yeah. All right. Any other items that we should discuss?
Just a couple of updates, if I can.
Sure thing, Forrest.
This is Forrest Lyford speaking, by the way. We had a work day last Thursday. The bulk of the effort was on, we haven't named it yet, but it's a loop around the senior center. It's about 6.7 of a mile. I think that's open for walking. It needs a little leveling in a few places to make it more senior friendly, but it's in good shape in my judgment. We ought to be thinking about a name perhaps for that. I'll suggest Fish and Game Loop or F&G Loop, since it essentially follows the former Fish and Game boundary and it surrounds many of the former Fish and Game facilities like the skeet range and the firing range and so forth. But anyway, that's open to discussion. And then another update, Cheryl and her son Spencer and I have visited all of 26 stations on our interpretive trail and done some video work there. We probably have to go back and revisit a couple. But as of last Thursday, I planted 26 station markers that at 26 interpretive stations. And like I say, we've videoed some of those are posted. I don't know, maybe you can bring people up to date, Cheryl, on the status of the video.
Sure. So Spencer's doing the editing. So we've been out to all those places with Forrest, and Forrest does the talking and Spencer does the videography, and I just look pretty. And so we've got all of those clips. What we're planning to do is to take each station as an individual clip. We've put them on YouTube so Forrest could see them because it was just Spencer and I looking at them for a while. So the idea is to put QR codes on those posts so that as you get to it, you hit the QR code and it goes right to the video of Forrest. So it doesn't matter what order you do them in, even though they're numbered. It won't matter if you use your phone to actually use the QR code. And I'm thinking we will also do something like written. Not everybody likes to watch video or listen while they're on the trail. So also just the same kind of information for each station written in kind of a more traditional, interpretive trail sort of thing. But ideas if people have other thoughts about what they think would be good.
Yeah, I always worry about vandalism, whenever you put things up. There's those beautiful signs up at Pisgah that, oh God.
Pisgah always gets nailed, right?
Yeah.
They're the worst. I think
Yeah.
Edmund Hill's parking area gets hit.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the rest of it is really all that vulnerable. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. We're not going to let them stop us from doing what we want to do on our trails. And
Yeah, we
teaching
never
people.
had problems, Bob, with the other markers that were in there, but they were pretty close to the ground and pretty hard to pull out. I discovered that some of them had nails driven into the bottom. That proved to be a challenge digging those out. But the posts that are in there now stick 3.5 feet above the ground. They may be a little easier to vandalize, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We can always replace them.
Yeah, and also too, over at that little, I forget the name of it now, over near Crawford Street as you're heading towards Shrewsbury, the New England Forestry Foundation.
It's a
Carlstrom
Trail.
Jubilee.
The
Yeah.
Jubilee one.
Jubilee. Yeah, the little dendrology markers on the Jubilee Trail have been there for a decade, I think, and it makes me wonder. Maybe the vandal has a soft spot for dendrology. I'm not sure, but but yeah, maybe on the interpretive trail, just a little 3x5 or 4x6 sign, with some text on it, with the QR code there, maybe as well, might be sufficient. I don't know.
You're talking
think
about
we-
actually having text on the posts?
Yeah, no, I think the post will just have numbers, which
Yeah.
Forrest has already done. He's routed out the numbers from the top of the post.
Mhm.
And then we'll have the QR code. But I don't think we want like text on the actual post. I mean, I don't know that you can put very much of anything worthwhile text.
Okay, I thought that's what you were saying, Cheryl, but
No, the QR code, if you hit it with your phone, it takes you to a website. It takes you to YouTube, and where you can watch Forrest talk about whatever it is that you're looking at that moment.
Okay.
And then, but what I was saying about printed is that that's also an option. So we would have it like on our website. If you want to print it out first so you can read it as you go along, because people would prefer to do that than like using their phone and listening and watching video. That's also an option, just to make it like open to more.
Yeah, originally we had booklets that went with the interpretive trail, but that was 20 years ago,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
times have
we had
changed.
the MP3 players that you borrow from the library.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
You have to go to the library. Now you just, I mean, maybe you just like kind of use the phone to pull up the code and have an option to click to a link to YouTube or a link to a text version.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Or other links too.
You can
to
read
maybe
it on
like
your
historical features, like a link to something
Yeah.
that
Oh, that's
describes
a good
what's going
idea.
on.
We,
in a
we could
particular-
do, we
or
could
the
do a
type of
web
tree.
page. We could do a web page on our town
Yeah.
site, on
That would
Northborough
be
Trail
great.
site,
Mhm.
and then it
We
would
could have
have
all
all
kinds
the
of
links
content.
to all the various videos, all the numbers and the various videos, and then you can have extra things on the website
Yeah.
page.
Yeah,
That's
it would
great.
require some effort, but we could highlight a few key words and that would direct them to maybe some key documents. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's,
we-
this is,
well,
I'm way over my head. On
No,
the
it's not,
technology
Forrest.
here.
It's
So it
content.
means,
What we need is content, and you're
Yeah.
a content guy.
I-
So
if-
are the
you
videos
send me-
available now for people to see, or is it something we got to wait for the grand
Oh.
release?
that's up to Forrest. Forrest, do you want me to let them all see the videos that we've done so far?
Oh, yeah, after I was hesitant, I was a little apprehensive about looking at them myself, watching myself on a video, but it wasn't that bad. And
I'm sure
So,
they're
yeah,
Forrest's great.
So,
You
yeah,
know he
let-
is.
let other people look at them and this is
Okay.
a first stab at it. We can revisit some of these stations if
Right.
things aren't clear or if you have a better way of doing it.
If you send me a list of the videos, I can try to put them in a page. I mean, it will
Okay.
get
Well, that would be
reformatted
great.
by Mia before it goes on the official website, but I can play
Yeah.
around with it a little bit
Yeah, I'd
to
love
make
your
it
help
artistic.
because to make it look nicer, because ours is very very
Very-
limited.
Well,
what we
I
can
thought
do.
I thought it was purposely that way, so I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want
keep-
to change things too much. It's whatever you want.
wanted to show you guys, we still have the booklet from 2006.
Ah, there it is.
It's
Yeah.
a booklet. So it folds, so you're looking at the folds.
Oh, wow.
And
So-
color.
It's really
color
beautiful.
Photographs. It is beautiful.
Is this the one Northborough
Yeah, that
Trails
was-
booklet?
Yeah, that was very
This is the-
professional, the person who did that. I can't
This-
remember her name now.
This is the Edmund Hill
No.
interpretive guide,
Yeah.
Okay,
Jim. It's just the Edmund Hill guide.
okay, yep. It's
So are you
not.
guys making something similar to this?
Mhm.
Okay,
I
yeah,
wasn't thinking of something that fancy.
Not,
I was
not
thinking
that
just
fancy,
Oh.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
but,
simple.
but content wise, yes.
That
simple
isn't online,
elite-
Mia.
Elite
I think it
text.
is on our website. Let me see.
That's why I was trying to find it.
Forrest, we could do something like this. This isn't hard to create.
Oh, with the pictures, you mean, and so
Yeah.
forth? Okay.
Oh, and maybe it's
I say
not.
Actually,
that, but I don't know
Another
how to
pro-
do it.
No, it's,
Another
I took it
project for
down.
Spencer.
Yeah, right.
I took it down because
Graduating in
most of
3
the,
weeks.
the stations are gone. Most of the stations are gone.
Yeah,
So I did take it off the website.
Yeah, actually, we already have text. I mean, it could be expanded on in places, but
mhm.
we had something to start with. And we could build on that, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah. But that was all in your head, what you started with.
Yeah.
It's all coming from Forrest's head, which is awesome. So yeah, I can share those links with everyone. And if you have like suggestions, things you think might make it better, or questions for Forrest too, because that was one of the things that we were thinking about. It might be interesting to have some sort of question answer thing. Maybe if at certain spots, like if there are interesting questions to follow up on, maybe not anything formalized that though, but if there's anything he says that kind of triggers questions for you, like maybe he can talk more about X, we can ask Forrest if he can talk about X.
Yeah.
So I'll send
Kind
those
of-
links to you guys.
kind
Ask
of
your
as an-
friendly geologist.
Yeah.
Well, kind of as an aside, this has stimulated some curiosity on a couple of topics. One, the use of that wetland, and this, Cheryl had a lot to do with this, use of the wetland for farming back in the old days. And there's lots of evidence that with the ditching and bridges, and there's some rock bridges in several places there. And I've been doing a little research on that, but I find that that's not unique to that area. There are lots of other examples in Northborough of development of wetlands for farming.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if they could drain the water. They don't have to clear trees in order to grow their crops. They just have to
Yeah,
drain the water, and now they can plow it.
exactly.
Can you guys see this screen?
Mm.
Maybe
Now,
something similar. We could make an Ask Forest page. I found this recently on Greater Worcester Land Trust page. This is Ask Colin.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. The next question is about pizza. What is the optimum temperature for baking a pizza?
Okay.
So I use
Well,
this form, and then they email it. You email, and your subject line is Ask Colin.
I like it. Ask Forrest about the forest.
Yes.
right.
I'll
I just-
volunteer for us to do this.
Yeah,
For these
well, maybe we
questions.
could get some other expertise involved in this too.
Well, I could probably field the questions if there's anything I could answer. Like he doesn't post all of his answers up here. This is just his, like, he's only ever had these 2 posts, and then but it encourages people to email.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's supposed to be educational, so that more we can teach, the better.
Mhm.
Yeah, and get kids outside and learning,
Yeah.
and adults. Get adults outside too, learning about their environment. Great idea.
So I have a bunch of updates I have to get through. Does anyone else have anything before I launch in?
Floor is yours, Mia.
Thank you. The first was that, did anybody want the wheelie bin at Watson Park? If not, I'll ask Conservation and Open Space. No? Okay, if you change your mind, you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, I really need a wheelie bin, let me know. Bill, you had posted that you did some cleanup. Thank you for doing that. If any of you notice trash is spilling from a business onto a trail or wetland, call me. I do have contacts. So was that, you said it was FedEx? So where, because there's no trail behind the FedEx site. Was it coming down the front of the hill?
It was blowing in from the side of the building and the front of the building. It was all FedEx bags and tags and equipment markers, you name it.
Like
All
on
into-
Bartlett
blowing into
Street?
the woods.
So you were cleaning up, like if you're driving from Northborough to Marlborough, were you cleaning like Bartlett Street or on the
No, this
side?
is the Beaman Road, at the end of Beaman Road there.
Beaman Road.
Mm.
Oh, that FedEx site. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
only
that's-
about 10 feet from the fence. So
That place is horrible.
That's a mess. I've done
It's all
that
cleaned
myself
up.
in the past.
we better rush down there now because it's cleaned up. It might not last.
I was going to say, Spencer and a few of his friends did that for Earth Day. That's
Yeah.
a popular place to go clean trash. It's always there to be picking up if you need
you have-
service hours.
Yeah, send me pictures if you have any pictures of the dirty. If anybody has any pictures, if you see one, you just email it to me and I'll follow up with the property manager because they're required as part of their occupancy permit to manage their trash. So it is enforceable by the zoning enforcement officer, but usually we start with a please, and people usually they respond. So let me know if you have any of those pictures. I will go right over and talk to them.
Mia, you're talking specifically about FedEx trash.
Any site,
Oh, it's
any
just
site.
all the trash. that
Everyone in
any-
town is required to secure their trash, even you guys.
Got it.
So this is the trash office, this engineering office. We handle all things trash here as well. So
Nice.
all day long, I didn't get my trash. I love it. I love talking to you guys. So the next is leaning trees over the trail. So I noticed someone posted something about a tree leaning away on the Facebook page. If it's leaning away, just let it be. There's actually and I know it's just around wetlands, but there is statements in the Wetlands Protection Act that leaning trees, snag trees, dead trees, they provide resource value. So unless it's causing any, think about the target, think about the risk, definitely tie down anything that's a safety hazard, but we need to leave any leaning or snags that are leaning away because every stage of the tree's decay provides a certain resource to somebody in the forest. So the next is the Verity. I wanted to thank Verity Opportunities. About 25 kids showed up to help. And I wanted to thank Forrest and Jeff Care, were the adults with me who oversaw all these kids. They did clean up a lot of the area. Since we got so many kids, we expanded from just raking in the accessible trail to also working on the sliding boulders trail and some trash cleanup. I actually signed up. It looked like Mia and my family. I just signed up to clean up Edmund Hill, but it was really the Verity kids who did it. So I wanted to thank them. And I wanted to share a photo. If y'all remember this, can you see the photo?
Huh?
This
Yep.
is the beginning of the accessible trail. They got out shovels, they were digging out old rocks and really trying to smooth the area. And this is that old little, it's like a picnic table with a roof over it. I used to eat hot dogs here when I was a kid. Oh, that's a little snake. There was a great
nice.
team of girls. We found a garter snake at the end and I picked it up and handed it to them. And I think there's pictures. This is the trash they pulled out from the party area next to the parking lot.
Yeah.
So this is all out of the woods now. And these are all like Dixie cups here. So
Very
they did a
nice.
great job. And I want to thank Forrest, Jeff, and
That's awesome.
Verity. Then there was a resident concern. She emailed about the old farm trail. Did I forward that to you guys? I'm going to read it to you.
I saw your indication that there was a resident concern on,
Okay.
on the agenda, but I didn't know what it was.
So I told her I would bring it to you. I'm not really sure how to respond. So I just want to, if you guys can give me a response. I'm writing today in concerns for public and wildlife safety at the Old Farm Trail. I myself, I am a 57-year resident of this area and visit this beautiful natural woods regularly. I've been close to hit and run over by multiple mountain bike riders. The trail is meant for walking and hiking, right? Also, my other concern is for the water marshes and reserves at Old Farm Trail. They are being used to walk on and fish out of. This disturbs the wildlife and their natural surroundings and food source. Please, I am asking on behalf of nature to look, help, and act to preserve and stop the wrong. I'm giving you the car description and plate of the woman I confronted today. She told me when I asked her that she had a fishing license, but would not show it to me. So, and then she gave, I won't read the make, model, and license plate of the car. I don't know how to respond.
Where was the mountain biking damage?
Old Farm, no damage. She says she's almost been hit by mountain bikers. I mean, we do share the, I don't want to respond like tough luck, sister. You know, like
Right.
it's not
Need to be
polite.
on their leashes.
Yeah, dogs need to be on leashes. Mountain bikers need to be careful of walkers. Walkers need to be aware of mountain bikers. And the fishing, just to confirm with you, that they're allowed to fish, especially if they have a fishing license. And no one has to provide their fishing license. It's not that kind
I
of.
mean, I think a general response could be these are multiple use trails. You know, she should expect to encounter somebody on horseback, for that matter. There's snowshoers and skiers in the winter. There's trail runners, mountain bikers, equestrians. That's sort of the nature of a multi-use trail.
And I want you to hear her concern. So if it comes up again, you know, if we hear about fishermen damaging the area or mountain biking getting out of control, maybe we can do some outreach.
Yeah. I mean,
this
even
is the first one.
You know, even some signs in general, just indicating to people, you know, this is a multi-use trail. You know, please be respectful of. Announce your presence. You know, I used to have a bell on my mountain bike, and I think I got more negative feedback from having a bell than I did from just saying, hey, you know, can I pass on the left? You know, that kind of a thing. People are like, what are you ringing a bell for? I'm not a dog. You know, so you just can't win.
You have any recommendations for her to not get hit by mountain bikes, or?
No one's getting hit by mountain bikes. I mean, you know, like anything else, the vast majority of people who are out there riding are incredibly respectful of all the other trail users. I mean, I've been out there myself and with other riders, and whenever we come across people with dogs, everybody slows down. We'll get off and walk if we have to. I've had plenty of interactions with hikers where, you know, I've come to a stop, I've slowed way down. Some hikers get off the trail. Sometimes I get off the trail. It's a shared use trail. And, you know, I can't deny maybe she did have a bad experience with a mountain biker. I mean, that's certainly plausible, but like anything else, that is not typical of the user group. And, you know, I can certainly, in the last year and a half, this kind of thing has been commonplace as the trail usage has just absolutely skyrocketed. There isn't a multi-use area in the country that hasn't experienced this kind of thing, since it's 300% more usage or whatever the numbers are. So we, you know, I think we collectively can remind our, you know, fellow trail users to just be courteous, but everyone out there just needs to remember that there are, you know, users of all kinds out there.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good response, that it's multi-use trail use has skyrocketed, and, you know, most trail riders do have good manners. But just to, you know, I wanted you to hear a concern, and just in case we hear anything else or if anyone else has heard anything else. Very passionate email. Let me see. Let me get back to my list. Pisgah parking lot. The Conservation Commission. I asked them for permission to expand the Pisgah parking lot. They said not right now. They felt that we should wait until COVID is over and reevaluate the use. I've heard from a few of you and do agree that the use was there before COVID, but that means, and I talked to my supervisor, Kathy Jubert, the town planner, and she's like, you know, exercising caution with any town project is always a good idea because it's tax dollars and town land. So it won't do any real damage to wait until COVID's over, reevaluate, make the case again, unless you don't want to. If you want to come to a Conservation Commission meeting and, you know, make the case that no, we really do think it was like this beforehand and this really is needed. They also commented that, you know, there was some talk that this is how I found the Ask Colin website. I know Colin Novick from Greater Worcester Land Trust. And so I reached out to him and I reached out to some other trail managers, is about use. The Conservation Commission was worried that a larger parking lot would mean larger use. We're already having trouble managing the current use. So maybe a smaller parking lot would limit use. I'm hearing the opposite from the land managers. If you build it, they will come, and they have come. They are here. A smaller parking area is not going to limit their use. We have to adjust our management. And so that's going to be part of that land management conversation that we have to have is, yes, we want to manage Pisgah as this 30-inch wide wildlife area, but if that's not what it's being used for, you're just going to have these negative interactions between humans and nature. You're going to get overuse, you're going to get eroding trails, that kind of thing. And so Colin actually responded that maybe it's time to consider, we didn't talk specifically about Pisgah. I said, how do you determine the size of your parking area? And he says, you basically look at your trails. If they're highly used, parking areas constantly overflowing, you know, they're getting widened, you have to follow that use, you have to respond. So how do you guys feel about that? Like, what is your picture for Pisgah? They're already there and we should respond, or it should be managed more strictly?
Yeah, my opinion is that, you know, I'm actually quite surprised that the people who live along Smith Road haven't exploded in rage, quite frankly. I mean, sometimes you can't get by. There's cars waiting to pull in. They're waiting for somebody to back out. I myself did that one time when I was meeting Brian up there to, you know, to do some trail surveillance, that a car was about to back out. So I just parked in the road, and I don't know, maybe they were downloading GPS information. I don't know what they were doing, but I ended up essentially blocking the road with my truck, waiting for somebody to back out so that I could pull in. And there were cars lined up behind me. It was almost like a city street up there in, you know, rural, you know, northern Northborough. I don't, my guess is that now that people have discovered how awesome it is up there, they're going to keep going, whether there's COVID or no COVID. I think one mitigating thing we could do would be to direct people over to the Berlin parking. There's some parking on
Lyman Road.
Yeah, Lyman Road in Berlin. And there's usually a few spots there when the Smith Road one is full. But even that one, which I don't think too many people knew about, I've seen that one overflowing too. So, yeah, I think there's no time like the present. Let's see if we can do it and, if there's a silver lining to the pandemic, it's that more people are getting outside and discovering nature and trying to socially distance, and, let's use that for leverage.
Yeah, the size of the parking lot is not stopping people from going there. They're just parking in the street.
And this was
So
pre-COVID.
it's just hazardous. Yes,
Oh yeah, pre-COVID too, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a problem for a long time.
They're kind of pulling up on the shoulder of Smith Road.
Mhm.
So that shoulder is getting damaged.
Does anyone want to come to either a Conservation Commission meeting, or I was thinking, I don't know if I told you, Cheryl, you came up with the idea that night, and then the Conservation Commission met like 2 weeks later, and a few days before the Conservation Commission meeting, I called the DPW director to see if he would help me come up with a ballpark number. And so I called him, I said, hey, Scott, could you help me come up with a ballpark number for a parking lot? He goes, yeah, Pisca, I know, I'm going to get up there next week. And I said, no, I haven't told you yet about this project. How do you know about this project? This happens with Scott all the time. How did you know about this project? He said, oh, the town administrator already contacted me. So the same time that you initiated it, the town administrator also contacted, DPW director is his project manager. So contacted Scott to say, go see if this is possible, if we have the land, if we have the space, if we have, and how much it's going to cost. So this isn't just coming from you guys, it's coming from the administrator too. So maybe we could either do it at a Conservation Commission meeting, or I was thinking like a daytime meeting. Anybody's could ever get free during there, the end of the day, 4 p.m., that kind of thing. We can invite the town administrator, and we can invite a couple members of the Conservation Commission. There's 2 members that live up there, and Tom Beals and Todd Helwig, they live up there, and they really help manage up there. They do a lot of the renaturalization work. They keep an eye out. Tom sits in like hunting gear. When all that cutting was happening, Tom was up there in camo watching for people. Like he spent hours up there.
Right.
He went up with his gator to hang all those signs, like, so that they're very active, Tom and Todd. So we could ask them to come to a meeting. If 1 or 2 of you wanted to attend, we could get the town administrator and get a conversation going.
Yeah.
Any
I-
volunteers?
I would make
Do
every
that.
effort to attend.
Yeah.
So Cheryl and Bob.
Yeah.
Put me as a third option.
Okay.
You know,
So
and
those-
the last bit of feedback too for, I know overall management of that area has been an issue, right, for a while now. And one of the big steps towards showing people that this is an area that we care about and it's an area that is managed is like an actual parking area with
Mhm.
clear signage and a new kiosk and, signage from Berlin, signage from Northborough, that this is a place that we're all aware of. Here's this nice parking lot, and we know what's going on in the woods there. The more it looks like a little dirt turnoff road that no one's really looking out for, I think that actually probably encourages some of it certainly doesn't dissuade any malicious behavior, and it may just encourage it. So
Yeah, good point.
Good point. All right, so I'll work on seeing if we could get like another meeting outside the meeting, or maybe I can invite them to your next meeting. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll work it out. They are meeting on May 10th, which is very soon. And
Is
they have
is that the daytime meeting, Mia?
that's an evening meeting for the Conservation Commission, and it's not currently on their agenda. I'll talk to the chairman. Let me I make like a little action mark next to my notes. I'm gonna talk to, the chairman is Greg Young. We have a pretty full agenda, so I'm not sure if he'll have time. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. If we do put it on the agenda, I'll email you guys and let you know it's on the agenda.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
And that's my list.
All right.
Yes, that's everything.
Thank you.
Thank
Mia.
you.
So I consistently forget how we adjourn.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Oh.
I put up the signs today at Pisca that say no trail and leads to private property. I went back and forth, and I think they're clear, but if you guys are up there and you're like, Mia, this sign is ridiculous, just tell me, like email me and say, because I put them up with hex screws. DPW lent me this really nice drill. So if you see anything up there, I'll just borrow the drill again and move them. But it's always nice to have a second set of eyes in case I did it wrong. So let me know.
Okay.
I won't be offended. That's it. That's really everything. I promise.
Okay. So, I think we have to, maybe I have to make a motion to adjourn.
You have to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, can someone, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure, I move that we adjourn.
And I'll
That was,
second that.
Jim Stein and Cheryl. Okay, so a motion to adjourn has been made. I think we have to sign out with a roll call vote. So this is Bob Mahalik, Trails Chair. Birding, I guess that motion to adjourn. Bill Cobb,
I approve.
Lyford,
I approve.
Ryan Belfer,
I approve.
Mary L. Stone.
Mary L. Stone approves.
And we have Steve Jobs and Scott Rogers still on. I'm not sure that you have approved the
Jim gets a
motion,
vote.
but you're welcome to.
Did you get Jim and Cheryl?
Yeah, I don't approve. We're stuck here.
Yeah.
We can't adjourn.
No,
Or ejected
majority.
from the committee.
It's majority.
Jim Stein
Jim, you
Sure.
have to stay because you were late. We can all go.
and Cheryl.
Yes, I approve.
Okay. All right, thanks, everybody. And
Thank you.
we will set the date for the May meeting and inform everybody via email.
Oh, yeah. Bob, do you want to let me know what day works for you guys? There is a holiday. There's Memorial Day. Open space is the 3rd. Conservation is 10th. How about the 17th, May 17th? Or
Perfect.
the 24th, May 17th?
May 17th.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. Next meeting, May 17th.
All right.
All right, I'll come to town meeting this weekend. All of you.
Yes,
Don't let 200 people to decide your future.
town meeting. All
Be
right.
one of them. All right.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a